Have you been giving your power away and feeling drained when it's over? Today, we're going to be sharing with you how we give our power away and what you can do to take it back. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Awaken Your Spirit. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia. And our show's about inspiration, motivation, and developing the mindset to live a happy and abundant life.
We're live here every Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. If you guys would like to join us here on the show, make sure you guys subscribe to the show. Click on the get reminder buttons. That way you never miss an episode here on Awaken Your Spirit. So today we have an exciting show for you guys here today. And it's interesting because we go through all these different experiences in our life. And what is Awakening Your Spirit? It's about how can we improve on ourselves? How can we be more happy, more joyous in our life? And we're going to be sharing with you some tips here today. But before we get into all of that, I like to start off with our first segment of the show, which is our inspirational moment with Veronica.
So inspirational moments is when I like to read something inspirational. And today I have a small quote from Abraham Hicks, which is the channeled source energy, which Esther Hicks calls Abraham. This is from an event from March 2nd, 2002. And it says, "You see, you're giving others too much power as you even acknowledge how they make you feel. What you've got to decide is how I'm going to feel. We would go to a virtual reality and we would practice feeling good. Manifestations come on the heels of what you've conjured in thought." So it leads and it makes perfect sense to what we're going to talk about today on our show.
Absolutely. If you guys enjoy the quotes, make sure you give us some hearts, give us some thumbs up here into the feed. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. If you have any questions, feel free to type those here into the comments and we'll get to those as the best that we can during today. And if you guys enjoyed the inspiration moment, also let us know here into the feed. So I want to say hello to a few people that are joining with us here on the show right now. We got Mary Sterling that's joining with us. She says, good morning. Good morning, Mary Sterling.
Morning.
Dan McCluskey says, aloha, no power outages, one day at a time. I'm a unique artist. Yay.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I like that. No power outages.
Yeah. Say hello, everybody. Let us know where you're coming in from. We love to hear people from all over the world. We get people from Australia, from New Zealand to here in the States, Canada. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to know where you guys are tuning in from. And Dan also says, nurturing my inner artist and creativity, silencing the inner critical parent each day. Only one power, unconditional love. Awesome. All right. So today on the show, we're talking about giving away our power. Mm-hmm. And when we do that, it's like, how do we feel when that happens? And there's many different ways we give of our power. And we give our power to so many energies. And when we talk about power, what are we discussing about? Because we talked about this earlier. Well,
power is, it's really our focus. Like, because when we are focused on something, we're giving energy to it. Mm-hmm. So it's like our power can be drained, especially if we're focusing on something that doesn't make us feel good, or you're talking about something that someone did and you feel just drained afterwards, or you're listening to someone talk about someone that doesn't make them feel good. And then you're just like, after the conversation, you just feel wiped out. So it's really, what are we giving energy to?
Yeah. So when we talk about our energy, we talk about being drained as if we're giving all our energy out. So as an example is, just a little bit ago, about a month ago or so, we got Veronica a new phone. And we were, because, after about that 2-year mark, you notice how your phone the battery starts to wear out and you have it on for like a couple seconds. It seems to drain much faster than it did when you first got it. You have to constantly keep recharging that. And we started to know that was happening to our phones. And so we got Veronica the new phone. I had kept mine because I can stretch it out a little bit longer because it wasn't a necessary need. But then I noticed that your phone you go a lot longer without expending all the energy.
Yeah.
But my phone, I noticed that it goes very fast, and especially when there's a lot of different programs that are running at the exact same time. And some programs drain the battery faster than others.
Yeah, because there's so much stuff in the background that you probably don't even know is open, or it's using up the energy and it's draining the power. And that's the same with our mind. And what is going on in the background of your mind? And what are you giving your power to? And it could be people, it could be just a situation that you don't necessarily enjoy, that you're focused your energy on. And that's draining. That's like wasting energy. And we experienced something this weekend about just like a waste of energy, that it was just random thoughts that weren't pleasant. And, you know, how did it feel afterwards? Just
yeah. I mean, you guys ever have those down moments where you're just not having a great day? And in those moments, it's like maybe you're dwelling on a few thoughts. Maybe there's something going on in your life, and you start to feel different types of emotions. And that's when we talk about energy, we are talking about how we feel. It's our emotions that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And if you're feeling a sense of anger, frustration, if you're feeling sad about something or worried, that is like one of those apps that's going on in the background of your mind that drains a lot of energy, because it takes a lot of energy to be able to even process that. And so it's like when we're not feeling good, you know, we're more tired. And it's like we don't have that life that's within us, rather than when we're feeling joyous, we're feeling happy. We seem to be, you know, it's like we got an endless amount of energy. So when you think about it, all those negative emotions, fear, sadness, anger, hurt, guilt, all of the long list of different emotions that don't feel good, they take a lot of energy from us. And not only that, when they're taking energy from us, then we feel drained, we're depleted, and that can start to create dis-ease within the whole entire body.
And that's why it's important, like, number one, for us to take responsibility of our own emotions. And the moment you start feeling, you know, negative emotions, or you start feeling bad about something, to really have that awareness, like, wow, I'm really not feeling good. What am I giving my energy to? What am I focusing on? And then you'll more than likely probably notice that you're focusing on something that's unpleasant. And it's all like what we focus on, like, how does it make us feel? And, you know, we share this a lot, because it's like sometimes we need to hear it over and over. And that way it doesn't take you down that downward spiral.
So I want to say hello to a few more people that are tuning in as well. We got Robert Wall says, where our focus goes, energy flows. And he says, so true. And we got Daryl Santel joining with us as well. Says, Good morning, Daryl. Thank you guys for joining with us here on the show. And if you guys find that this message can be beneficial to anybody today, please feel free to share the show, because as we always say, we never know who this message is going to impact. And somebody might need to hear this today. There's times when I need to hear the messages. And I believe that we all do, because we are in this process of life. We're always going through our challenges. We're going through ups and downs, our lessons that we all need to learn. And sometimes we need other people to help lift us out of, we call sometimes that darkness, that down place. And it's like when we understand what's going on, what's the part of us that needs to be healed within, is sometimes that cloud can stop us from moving forward in our life. And it definitely helps when other people are there to support you with that.
And also know that, you know, others are responsible for their own emotions and how they feel. So if someone's going through something, don't take the blame for it, because, you know, just because they're going through something, like, it's their own thing that they're going through. So allow them, you know, their space to go through it, and don't take it on, because that, again, is giving away your power to maybe taking the blame for someone else's emotions and how they feel. But we're all responsible for our own emotions.
And sometimes that could be a hard one, that taking responsibility. And I believe we had a show about this a while ago, but that concept of being responsible, if we understand, and we've talked about this, if you guys have joined us with us previously, what we think about, what we feel, is everything that's going on in our experience today is a direct result of what we have manifested. It's the effect of the cause, which is how we think on the inside, our actions, how we feel, and everything that's going on today is that conglomeration, that sum total of the thoughts and feelings that we've been thinking about and feeling up until now. And so whether it's people in your life, whether it's situations, we've all created it in some way. And we may not be able to see that all the time. But when we learn to take responsibility, understand, wow, how have I created this in thought? What have I been thinking about? Maybe there's a limiting belief that you have about yourself. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Or, you know, sometimes it can be empowering thoughts. If everything's going great, because you've got some thoughts and some feelings that are working very well for you. And we have a combination of both. And that's what personal growth is all about, is understanding what are the areas that we need to improve on and focus on the things that we're doing well at.
And another thing is remembering what our values are. because sometimes when, you know, we tend to do things just to please other people, or, you know, thinking like, oh, they're going to get mad at me if I don't do this. But if it goes against your values, that again is giving your power away, because you know that's something that you don't resonate with, but you do it anyway to please somebody else, or you do it anyway maybe to look good in the eyes of others, and that alone is giving away your power. So it's always know what your values are and stick with that, because if it goes against your values, you're just giving away your power.
God, I used to do that so much.
Yeah,
when I was younger, and up until like the last few years, really going through these processes, I realized even patterns that I had and trying to please everybody, that takes a lot of energy. And at the end of the day, you're still not truly satisfied and fulfilled on the inside, because everybody has their own values, own systems of what they want. And if you're trying to do it for them, it's like, how do you know that's really pleasing them? And then what happens is you start to feel like you're looking for that validation. And when you're trying to look for validation, you get it one day, you feel great. But then if you don't get it, well, how do you feel? Yeah. It's like, can we feel validated just by us doing what we want to do? And that's really important, is doing what we want to do. But if we're using our energy and doing all these tasks and expending energy physically, mentally, emotionally, just to look good in the eyes of other people, then you're going to set yourself up for a lot of disappointment. Yeah. There's going to be times when it feels really good because you learn a pattern and a habit. I'm just talking about from personal experience. Wow, I use a strategy of how to please others. And when they light up and they give me praise, I feel good. So I want to keep doing that. But
that's really about how you feel about yourself on the inside.
Absolutely.
And Robert Wall says, I've experienced this in the past few days. I need a spiritual charge. I must shut off this drain to negativity. Yeah, and it could be also, you know, what's going on in the world, you know, for a lot of people that are very sensitive to energies. And if they're focused on certain things that are happening, it really can suck your energy. So it's just be mindful with what we're focusing on. And Dan says,
he says, I used to think everyone was safe to share with. Where were they? My want where they may want to discount one up, gaslight, which is really crazy, and they are hurting. They are in doubt and fear, and they unconsciously want to pull them in their belief system. Yeah. But sometimes also we have to pay attention. If we are, and we're talking about people right now from this scenario, if you find that there are others that are draining your energy, maybe people are going through a negative time, or they're going through something, and you find that you're just getting drained, or they're bringing you down. The first thing you have to ask is not so much, oh, they need to work on this, they need to do that. If you feel that they're making you feel a certain way, we also have to ask ourselves, what is it that's within me that's attracting this type of person into my life? Because we are a powerful magnet. We attract, like I said, our experiences. And we have to really take a self-awareness and step back and see, wow, look around you, look at your environment. What is showing up? Who are the people that are in your life? What are the situations that are going on? And if there's a pattern, if it's something you say, I keep seeing this over and over again, step back and say, wow, what am I attracting? What is it within me that's bringing these types of people or these situations into my life? And that's when we talk about taking responsibility. I attracted this in some way. And what do I need to work on within me so I can shift that pattern and attract something new? So we always have to take and look ourselves in the mirror. And that is a big process.
And Mary says, help us out of that stinking thinking.
It stinks. I've gone through my moments. In fact, I just recently went through a moment, and it was like a short period of time, but it was wow. Yeah. And it's like, I'm so aware now of how I feel when I go through, because I'm human just like you guys. I go through experiences, and I realize that these are big growth periods for me. And I look at it that way. I realize if I'm going through a very bad time, I'm like, wow, something big, something's about to awaken or happen because I'm moving through a challenge that's been creating similar patterns in my life.
And it's okay. It's okay to go through those things, because that's, where, there's some big change coming. Yeah. And Gil Solis says, energy drainers, I deal with them a whole lot. Yeah. It's like, dealing with people like that, how does it make you feel? And maybe you can, if you're having a conversation with someone and they're, draining your energy, hey, I got to get going, and kind of cut it short. Let's see. Dan says,
they tried to do this to Christ, Buddha, Lao Tzu, because they don't want to feel their hurt pains within and admit they're human. They are human and need help too. It's called a spiritual bypass. It doesn't work, but they will stay in denial and make me the scapegoat if they can. But again, here's the big thing, and really this is all of our lesson. Is if we say we deal with energy drainers all the time, we deal with negative situations, that is a pattern, right? And if you go back and look at life and what is showing up, then that means something within me is still bringing these types of people. Why am I? It's like by law of attraction, we match in some way vibrationally.
A vibrational match.
And Jose says, good morning. Good morning, Jose.
Good morning, Jose. Mary's saying good morning. Caesar says, hi, my friends.
Good morning. So today, we're talking about taking back your power. Mary says, people pleasers is giving away your power. Absolutely. So there's many different ways we give away our power. We give away our energy. And so if we're giving away to other people, like Mary says, list all of your energy zappers. And it's not just people.
It's not just people. Yeah.
It's like, what do you focus on? Meaning like what you have to really pay attention to. What are your thoughts? What do you think about on a daily basis? Are they positive, or can they go to the negative? And even if you practice on a daily basis, we still have to go back and catch ourselves. And it depends on the scenario that's going on in front of our face. If you're watching everything that's going on around you on the news, how does it make you feel? What are you thinking about? Are you complaining about the complainers? Yeah, that's another common one. Oh, they always complain about things. It's like, well, you're complaining about them? And it's like, ooh. You look yourself, looking yourself in the mirror is a really tough one sometimes.
But, even when, like, say you're having a conversation with someone, they're complaining and all this negative stuff about somebody else, something that maybe they can try is to forgive that person and keep moving forward. Because a lot of times the reason why, there's still like negative talk about someone or complaining about someone is because you haven't forgiven them for what they've done, or maybe something they did that you didn't agree with, or you just didn't like. And it's just forgive them and move forward. And you don't have to talk about that anymore. You don't have to bring it up, especially if it's in the past, something that happened 5-10 years ago, and you're still talking about it and what they did and what they did to you. That's not letting go, and you're still holding on to that. So it's like, allow yourself to forgive and move forward, because that is an energy drain.
Yeah, here's the interesting part, and this is what we work on with people on a personal level, is a lot of times they don't know what the issue is, and because it goes unconscious. Why? Because we have many different experiences in our life, and what happens is we experience it in a thought. We perceive a situation that's going on around us, and we attach an emotion or a feeling to that. Maybe we had an unpleasant experience, whether it's a heartbreak, maybe parents got divorced, maybe there was an accident. There's so many different scenarios, and that gets ingrained. If it doesn't process properly, now that's stuck within our nervous system, and that energy gets trapped. And then as we go on in our life, because that energy is still there, we tend to like attract similar situations, but in different people or different scenarios, that re-triggers all that old emotion, all that old feeling. And you may have no correlation how the two match. And it might have been something that happened 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
Or a past life.
Or a past life, if you believe in that. And we do, because it shows up for us. And it's like what's happening in the moment today is it's another sign that, hey, there's still an issue with this, and it's showing up in this person now. It's showing up in this place that you're living, or that place that you're working. And because of how you feel on the inside based on a past experience. And when you learn to tap into that, this is what we really help people with when we work with them personally, is identifying what's the emotion. How does this make us feel in that scenario? And we have to go really deep and ask ourselves the questions. Why do I feel so this way about this scenario? And you keep asking yourself that question until you find a true answer. And a lot of the times there's a core issue underneath. And sometimes that core issue can mean, well, it makes me feel like I'm not good enough. it makes me feel like I'm not being heard or listened to, like I'm not important. And it's like, when was the time that we ever felt that way? You know, I remember, oh man, that brings me back to when I was like 4 years old. And we were listening to a scenario in a book the other day about a person who was like the youngest of 18 children.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? I was like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking 18 children.
Like, wow.
And then think about that. I always feel like they're last, and like they always get put first, like they're not important, they're not good enough because everybody else gets first. And it's that concept of, why do they get everything and I don't? Right? It's that jealousy, envy concept.
Yeah. Well, you can look at it in different ways. It's like, oh, I get all the hand-me-downs, but it's like they're never like left without anything, because they get like all the cool, you know, outfits or whatever from all the brothers and sisters, or maybe, I guess if it's universal, but you know, like things that maybe the toys or something from the brothers. And like my daughter, she used to get all the hand-me-downs from her cousins and her sister. So it was, you know, it was interesting that her cousins thought that we bought her all this stuff, but we didn't. And it's just, you know, remembering like, oh yeah, we used to give her stuff too.
So I want to go to a question here, because this is a good one. This is from Gil. He says, what if I'm an optimist and try to have and give good energy to everyone, but still people around you drain your energy?
Yeah.
There's many different scenarios with that.
Yeah. Cause like it's, you can't really give good energy to every, like you can be in great energy and like positive energy, but if there's still people around you that are draining, like maybe there's whatever they're doing or saying, like, are they sucking you in emotionally? Like, are you getting tied into what they're talking about or what they're saying, or affected emotionally by their behaviors, by what they say? Because that's, it's like getting involved. Like the moment it affects your mood or your feelings, like say someone's saying something and then you're getting angry because of what they're saying, or you're getting frustrated. Now you're involved in their energy, or you're allowing yourself to give away your own power, your own energy. So it's really paying attention to how you feel. And if you feel like, wow, I'm just that awareness, like, oh, I'm getting upset because of what they're saying. So it's like, you know, you don't have to get emotionally tied into it, because the moment you do, that's when you start to feel tired and drained. So you can ninja the conversation if it's a conversation, and, you know, just start talking about something more positive to them, like, but make it about them. Like, hey, like, oh, didn't you go over here like last year? Or tell me about that, you know, that new car you bought, or that, you know, that vacation you went on. Like, just switch the topic to where it makes them feel good, and where they're not focused on that negativity.
And I can see this from even personal experiences. Is you're hitting the nail on the head with this one, and it depends on the situation that we're talking about. But as again, we're talking about, well, again, I try to be positive. I'm always positive. I'm giving good energy to everybody else, but like that's almost like they don't get it, and then how it makes you feel,
how
right?
It makes you feel, yeah.
So there's some people that are unreceptive to positivity, because they get so caught up in everything that's going wrong in their own world. And we have to allow people to be where they are. And if it's like the concept of, like, we do this even in our work. If you guys are in business, you're coaches or whatever that you do, and I learned this in the health field, is you can't, it's hard to help people that don't want to change. So meaning that I learned the concept of the Coast Guard. It was a lesson that they learned. I use this a lot, and it helps me. Is they're taught, if there's like a capsized boat and there's people in the water and drowning, and they got a few people that go in there, they don't just go in there and jump in the water and start grabbing everybody and saving them. They tell them, the people you grab first are the ones that are swimming towards you, because that's the person that sees you. They're calm, they're looking for help. But if you got that person that's in the water and they're panicking and they don't even know you're there, you go to try to grab them, they may drown you, and then everybody dies.
Yeah, they'll bring you down with them.
They bring you down with them. So it's like there's a lot of people that may just not want your help or receptive to it in this moment. Even if we have all this great intention to help them, it's like, allow people to be where they are at, and help the ones that want the help. When they say, hey, can I give you some advice? Or they say, no, I don't want the advice. Oh, okay, that's great. But if they're asking for help, be there to support them. But it's like, how do we feel when we're trying to give energy, we're trying to help people, or you just got to be more positive or do things.
Yeah, you can't force people to do anything. Then you get more resistance. And that's probably maybe what you're feeling is that resistance of like you're being positive, and then they continue on their negativity or bringing, making maybe remarks or, certain things. So it's like you can't force anyone to, even if it's great information or if it's like really positive, that's just where they're at, and just accept them for where they're at, and just move on, and hey, I gotta go or whatever, change the conversation. But it's like we can't force anyone to do anything or to think a certain way.
And the thing about no one can really make us feel anything. It's our perception and how we choose to feel, again, based on experiences, our values. And if you find you're in situations where it's just you don't feel very good in the energy, because again, when someone's putting out, very negative energy, or maybe they're having a bad day, it's like we can feel that. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to be around people like that when you're trying to be happy and be very, very positive. So sometimes you allow people to go through their thing and step away for a little bit. Is again, because you can get sucked down in that energy. It's like, think about like with water, it's like a water jug. We have the dispenser here. We put the water in the dispenser. The water is going to go down, and eventually it's going to balance out where the water is even on both sides. Same thing when we get into other people's energy, is like we might feel the contrast at first, but then eventually we're going to acclimate to that. And then they're going to either feel a little bit better by being with us, or if we're with them, they might bring us down. We're going to even out somewhere. And if we don't feel good in those scenarios, we can choose to, I'm just going to step away, or just minimize your time with people that are like that. Yeah. Or also in situations. And
let's see what Dan says. He says, following my dreams and goals takes tremendous focus, and really without God cannot be done, because it takes divine courage, and that takes tremendous surrender, which takes tremendous trust. And each day the ego tries to run the show, but the ego is a people pleaser, not a God pleaser. That is true. Yeah. Yeah. And by being a people pleaser, you're surrendering your energy to that person or the group of people. So it's being aware of that.
Yeah. And so if you guys are just tuning in with us right now, we're watching Awaken Your Spirit. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia. And today we're talking about taking back your power. So it's really, what are we giving our power to, and how is that making you feel? And, we got to really pay attention, have that awareness of what we're focused on. How is it making us feel? If it feels not so good, then we're giving away our power to something that you don't even enjoy, or a situation or circumstance that's unpleasant, and you're focusing all this energy on it, and it's leaving you tired and drained. So it's switching your focus to something else. Also, we talked earlier about your values. What are your values? And, it's staying with your values. And if someone's asking you to do something and you don't agree with it based on your values, and then you can find yourself being drained, or, that's going to be on your mind because you went against your values, or you might even find yourself in some trouble. You just never know. Yeah. Depending on what it is.
So here's a scenario that happens is we know somebody who was in, a very unhappy marriage. And it took some time. There's a constant talking about it and dwelling on it, and, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. And you find that, wow, they're constantly dwelling on all the things that the other person's doing. And then they eventually took the move and separated from that relationship. Great. No longer have to be around that person on a daily basis. And now it's like there's a child involved. So yeah, they have to communicate at some point, but it's like they're free from that. But the thing is, they're still talking about what the other person is doing constantly. And what's happening is, even though they're no longer together, they're still dwelling on all that person, which means that even though you may not be in the same room or same vicinity with a person, the moment you think about it in your mind, you are right there with them.
Yeah,
And
because you're giving your power to that person just by talking about it, because it doesn't feel good as you're talking about them. So it's like, why even give energy to it? It's like, focus on what you do want in your life, not what you don't. And it's a little, it can be challenging, especially if you were raised that way, like focusing on things like that, like focusing on what everyone else is doing that you don't agree with or that you don't like, because that's what we certain people have been raised that way. So it's like, how do you shift that? But number one is the awareness. It's like, oh, like, I'm talking about that person. Okay, I'm going to change the conversation, and really have that awareness of what you're focused on, and slowly you can begin to change that.
Absolutely. So awareness is always the first key. If you're not aware of what you're thinking and how you feel, it's very hard to change it.
Or have a accountability partner. So you can talk to someone, hey, if you ever, find me talking about this person, let me know, because I want to change this within
or saying
myself.
Something negative.
Yeah, or saying something negative. Please let me know, because sometimes I'm unaware of it. And until someone brings it to your attention, then you're like, oh, wow, like I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm. And so you want to catch your thoughts, because you deal with your thoughts on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll know that you're going down a certain path based on how you feel. That is the key indicator. It's like, how are you feeling in this moment? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling upset? And if you're feeling opposite from good,
mm-hmm.
ask yourself the question, why? Why am I not feeling good? And where are you putting your energy and your focus on? Hey, Chase.
Hi, Chase.
Good to see you here. And it's what are we giving our attention to? And we say, well, this person is doing this, and now I feel upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you're dwelling on what they're doing and how it's making you feel. But all of it's always going to come down to that personal value. Like, what's important to you, and what were you brought? What is your belief systems? How do you think on a daily basis? And if somebody, and we're talking about people right now,
mm-hmm.
is making you feel a certain way, well, there's something about them that's triggering something within you that's really stirring up a lot of stuff. And it's, again, usually going to be based on past experiences that are
mm-hmm.
resurfacing again. And always think, if it's showing up over and over again, it's like, why does this keep happening? Why do these people keep showing up in my life?
Yeah.
Then it's something within you that's attracting that we really need to work on. We have to look ourselves in the mirror and figure out, what's the pattern? What am I bringing to the table here? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Where do I need to heal? Who do I need to forgive? And what do I need to let go of? Yeah.
And Gail says, how often do you do this program? We do it twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific
time. So if you like to get the reminders, make sure you can subscribe to the show either here on Facebook or on YouTube. We have all the replays, and you guys can subscribe, hit the notification buttons, and you'll know when we go live each time.
Mm-hmm. And then let's see, there's a lot of comments here. So Dan says, so for me, it is daily remembering. I'm only here for God first, to be excellence for God. And if that shines and helps another, that is nice. But not doing for the acknowledgement or love or acceptance from others. Been there, done that. Was on the world stage. It's over fast.
But here's the thing. Even though we have these good moments and we know all this stuff, we are still going to have our moments mm-hmm. because we haven't figured it all out. There's a lot that we mm-hmm. all need to heal within. And it really depends on what is that. How do you want to develop yourself within?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's very important that, especially in this work that we do, and I always want to strive to always feel good, be positive as often as possible. Do we have our down moments? Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's okay.
Because those down moments we were talking about, those are the moments of growth. Mm-hmm. It's not about the good days and everything. When everything's doing good, everything's doing great. But it's like we're trying to move forward in something in our life, and we're having a bad day or something's riling us up on the inside. Mm-hmm. That means, wow, there's another area that I can work on, that I can grow through, because once I break through this, something good's going to happen on the other side.
Yeah, because once you let go of whatever's going on within you, it's like you feel like a weight lifted, and you feel like wow, like this is gone, and this no longer affects me anymore. But it's having that acknowledgement of, I'm going through something that needs to be healed. Or if someone's doing something and it's still triggering you, like there's something there within you that still needs healing. And it's being okay with not feeling good. So when those days when you have a bad day and you really don't feel good, and you know that there's something there that has been bothering you, it's like, be okay feeling that way, and don't beat yourself up for it, because it's like, yeah, you want to strive to feel good all the time, but everyone has their ups and downs. So it's acknowledging that you're not feeling good, but working through it. And then once you work through it, you feel so much better.
And sometimes, like, how do we work to that? Because that's the challenging part that maybe people are asking in their mind. Well, okay, I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
But what do I do when this shows up? Because it's not as easy as it sounds, but it can be.
Yeah.
And part of that is when we're feeling that negative emotion. Remember, if you're highly emotional in those moments, like you're really, really upset with something, or you're really hurt or sad, it's hard to think about solutions or come up with what to do, because you get so caught up in that storm. And you can even be aware that you're in the storm, but in that moment, it's hard to come up with the solutions.
Yeah.
So what I've discovered is sometimes we just need to allow the storm to happen, and don't try to resist the storm. And that's what happens a lot, is when people start to feel negative emotion, they start to feel bad. We don't like to feel that way. And so we're always trying to avoid feeling the negative and gravitate to something that's going to make us feel better. So that's why you see some people that might, if they're not feeling good on the inside, they might gravitate to something that's like a quick fix, meaning that they might resort to a medication. They might resort to drugs, alcohol. They might resort to food or being with other people. There's always going to be a strategy to get us out of the way that we feel. But when we really look on the inside and really deal with what's bothering us, it's just allow that storm to pass.
And allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling, and maybe ask yourself, like, why do I feel this way? And sometimes you'll get the answer, and other times you might not even know what it is. And
we just have to get our bodies to calm down. We have to get out of that emotional state. So the way we do that is just acknowledge that, yes, I feel upset. Yes, I feel very sad right now. And allow yourself to process that emotion. And how do we do that? You can do that just by breathing through it. It's like breath. When you take in oxygen, you're breathing through the whole entire body. It brings relaxation. And you just want to let that up. It could be tears. It could be tension, depending on the emotion. But allow yourself to process through that. And it might be gone within a few minutes. It might take you a day. It might take you two. What takes the longest is when we don't deal with it.
Yeah.
And we try to avoid processing it. And we're suppressing everything. And it's building up like a pressure cooker until you just can't hold on to it anymore. But the problem with that is when we're trying to avoid and we suppress, then eventually what's going to happen, we're going to project. And you ever notice, like, when we're upset about something, we project and snap at other people, even though they didn't really do anything wrong, but it's like that builds up within us because we're not dealing with it. And the way we deal with it is we have to allow ourselves to breathe and process through it until we can calm down. And as you take a deep breath in, and as you're breathing out, you can visualize whatever negative energy is there. Just visualize it leaving your body, and then, keep breathing and visualize that leaving. And like Aaron said, it might take just a few breaths, or for some, it might take a little longer. Because it's that energy of the emotion that's draining you. Emotions are very draining if you're holding on to all that negativity. We talk about energy zappers, things that are not making us feel very good. It's the emotion that's taking all the energy, because it's creating so much heightened turmoil within your body. It's how you're perceiving the situation or the person or what they're doing, because someone could be doing something that maybe a lot of people don't agree with, and two people can be observing the same thing. But one person might get drained and just get so frustrated with that person, and another person might just be like, that's just what they're doing. Yeah, big deal. They don't. It's like sometimes you get frustrated. Like, how come you don't get bothered by this situation, or how come you don't get bothered by this person? They're like, Veronica does that so much. It's like she doesn't take it on. And it's my lesson sometimes I've had to learn. I've gotten so much better at this. And I talk about this from personal experience and how it feels, but it is the emotion that drains us. It's how it's affecting you emotionally. And when it brings up the frustration and, the maybe anger, then it's got a hold of you emotionally. But it's really maybe asking yourself, well, why does this bother me? Yeah. And Mary says, the sad truth is some people are not happy,
unless they are drained. They don't know what to do with themselves if they are not giving away their power. And I think that's maybe something that's more of a habit or the way they were raised, because they could have been raised in a negative environment. And maybe it's not necessarily that it makes them happy, but that's all they know, or that's all that they're accustomed to. So it's some of it could be like the victim mentality, where it's like, oh, this person did this to me and this person did that to me, and they're playing the victim role. But it's feeling, maybe they're trying to get like sympathy from other people, or but it really goes down to how they feel on the inside, and they're trying to maybe replace that with maybe the sympathy of others.
Yeah, and what that comes down to is, what do they believe? Like, there's that we talk about that victim mentality. What is a victim mentality? There's a belief system somewhere that says there's nothing we can do about it. It is just what it is. I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too heavy, I'm too thin, I'm not smart enough. There's all these belief systems that have been ingrained in the subconscious mind at a young age, based on your parents, grandparents, all of their habits, your friends, your teachers, your peers, all of that has been fed to people. And that's why you see some people have really high self-esteem within themselves, because maybe they got a lot of praise when they were younger. Or some people are the opposite. They were always told that they were dumb or stupid and never amount to anything. And at some point they believe that. And so when the victim mentality means like they give up their power, meaning that there's no way out of this. There's no hope. And that's a belief system.
Yeah. And they allow people's opinions to determine their self-worth. So it's by looking for maybe what other people think about them. That could be another thing. Like, well, this is what I did, or what do you think? And kind of allowing other people to give them an opinion. And then, oh, well, they said that this isn't good enough, so I'm probably not good enough. And that's giving away power. So in a lot of victim mentalities could do that, because then they're basing their value on what other people think.
Yeah. And that's just one scenario.
That's one scenario.
And a lot of it comes down to it's self-esteem, self-worth, loving the self. And the biggest thing is when we get caught up into that, we have to really challenge our beliefs, what we think, and understanding that we are abundant. We can do anything we put our mind to it. Many people have proven that. We just have to be able to see that.
Yeah.
And when we are aware that, wow, we are the creators of our own experience. And if whatever has happened has happened, up until now, this is how I used to think. This is what I used to believe. But I'm not anymore. I'm so highly aware that I'm the creator of my experience. And if I was able to create this in my life today, that means I can change that. I can change it. But we have to start by changing the way we think. We have to change the way we feel. And then obviously we change the way we do things to get a different result in our life.
So we have a long one from Dan right here.
Dan says self-realization is key too, to keep practicing. Up, a little higher, Veronica. And knowing I can heal myself. The I am is within, and I can heal others just with the feeling of the divine. That is why experiencing the divine is more important than talking about it or reading about it. Realizing our goal is to be a mystic. Christ, Buddha, Rumi, and Louise Hay were mystics experiencing feeling divine love. He says, yay, yay. It feels good because it's unconditional. I don't do anything. I just receive. It's grace. This is hard for. I think there's a continuation somewhere. He's probably still typing, because it's a long one.
That is a long
But it brings a good point, because when we learn to just let go, and rather than putting our energy and focus on what's outside of us, focus on what's going on within us and heal that. And when we are so more in love with ourselves, we feel better about ourselves, our self-esteem, and let go of all the past experiences, the beliefs and thoughts. And we start to feel better on the inside. It's like we don't have to really do anything to affect others. Our energy will do that for us.
Yeah. Because it's like the ripple effect but it also depends on the people, how they perceive things. Because, someone might be going through something, but people can get emotionally involved into what they're going through, or they can step back and just observe and
Sorry, we just had a mic misfunction. Should be working now. It clicked off. So again, when we become aware of our thoughts, we become aware of how we feel. Then in that awareness, sometimes just in that awareness starts the change process. Because wow, I am feeling this way. And I realize I want to change this as much as I can. And you allow that process to happen. And if you don't know how to do that, reach out for help. There's people that can help you with that. But you have to be aware of that first before you can even ask for the help. And that's another key thing we've talked about many times, is being okay asking for
that
for
was
help.
Earlier when the thing got
so there's probably a little delay. So we should be up and running here on the mic. I'm just going to do a quick mic check real quick here. And audio, we're back to the, yep. You guys should be able to hear me now. So that awareness is key. And then when we understand why we do the things that we do, when we understand what our patterns are, and again, life is showing us what we need to work on. If you see it over and over again, or if something's bothering you within, there's a reason why it's bothering you. There's always a cause for that. And if you look and ask, well, why do I feel this way? Why is this situation or this person making me feel this way? And why am I allowing that? Then we can at least begin the healing process.
Yeah. And sometimes when we observe things, or, we can either choose to get involved in it emotionally, or we can take a step back and just be the observer of what's going on. And it's like, wow, like this is interesting. But don't get emotionally caught up into what's happening. Just observe, like you're watching a movie. And life is really kind of like that, like a big movie, and we all play a role in it. And when we can learn to look at things in that way, it doesn't suck us into it. Like it doesn't allow us to give away our power by being emotionally involved into what's happening. And it's just be the observer, and you'll see how things will maybe not drain you as much, because you're just observing and you're not allowing yourself to get emotionally drained by being involved in that emotionally.
Yeah, and we're talking about the movie of our life is we really are the stars of our own movie. But a lot of people allow other people to be the lead role in their movie. Yeah, like they give other people power to run their life. They're focusing on them and everything that they're doing. We call this living through other people, rather than you stepping up and being the starring role.
Yeah, look at it. Yeah, like look at it like the movie of your life. Like who's and the movie's being played in your mind. Who's the lead star in your mind? Is it like other people that don't make you feel good, or like what kind of movie are you playing in your mind? Is it a happy movie, or is it like a sad, depressing movie? So it's like, be aware of that and what's going on in your mind. And
realize too, like since everybody else has their own movie that they're in, is you aren't a co-star in their movie. And when you think about it, that when you look at the Grammys, I'm thinking about the Oscars. Grammys is more music, but the Oscars and the Academy Awards is they give awards for like the best co-star and like the roles that other people played in that movie. So like if you're the co-star in somebody else's movie, is be the best co-star that you can be in their movie, and in your movie you be the star and allow other people to be the co-stars. So it's that you get to be the director of your own movie. How are you going to direct it?
Yeah. And Dan says, I've been healed on the show by both of your divine vibrations and love. Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear that, because like that's the reason why we do the show is, just to help out, to be of service. And, we're glad to hear things like that, and, how it's affected you, how it's helped you. And, like the first time when we started the show, we didn't have a lot of viewers, but you had someone reach out and said like, wow, I watched your show and it really helped me. And we only had like a couple of viewers at that time.
Yeah.
And that's like, a reason to continue to do it. Like if we can help one person, that's all that matters.
Absolutely. And so as we're talking about today is taking back your power. It's really going within, healing from within all of us. So that way we are not being drained in our energy by the bombardment of different emotions that get stirred up within us. And that's being aware of your thoughts, be aware of your emotions, but also be aware of your environment and the things that trigger you, so you know what areas that I need to work on. And if you're having a hard time, again, reach for help. But it's really not the other person. It's not the situation that's going on. It's how it makes you feel. It's your perception of it that really becomes the energy drain.
Yeah. And then Dan says, so it is true, being just in the presence of super positive, aligned people. And if you are open to be open and receive it, you can be healed within. Many healings must take place in my path. More to come forever. Return to love. But like swimming, you get the flow and stroke with the practice. Yay, yay, yay. But I have to practice every day. Yeah, and
It's a practice every day.
We all do. We all practice. Like this weekend, Aaron was going through some emotional stuff. And, usually in the mornings, like we'll sit down together and have our coffee. And this one, was it Saturday or one of the days?
Yeah.
My coffee was like on the counter, and then he
made the coffee.
I appreciate it. And he was sitting down on this other couch, and like, oh, so something's going on, and I know he's going through something. And then at first I was thinking, well, I'm like, wait, did I do anything? And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a minute. I go, I didn't do anything. I go, he's going through something. I go, when he's ready, he can, he'll be ready and we can talk about it. But
yeah.
I'm going to give him his space and allow him to go what he's going through. And I'm not going to get emotionally drained or, attached to this, because that's his own thing.
Yeah. And I'm highly aware of, and what usually goes on in my mind, I'm trying to analyze the situation, what's triggering. But it's interesting because when you're in the emotion of it, it's hard to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's like, am I willing to heal from this? Am I willing to let this go? Or am I just going to hold on to it for as long as I need to? And that doesn't work out very well, because you go to sleep thinking that just by sleeping is going to work. You'll wake up with that same feeling the next morning.
Yeah.
So that, like, the faster that you can get that out of your system, that's when the healing can start to occur. And I understood that while there's something here, I was unable to figure it out in the moment, but something did show it if the answer finally came. But sometimes that answer shows up in many different ways. For me, sometimes the answers show up in books. I decided to read something I haven't read in a while, but something called me to read this.
And it's interesting. Dan brought up Louise Hay, and that's the book that you pulled out, and you started to read it, and it made sense, right?
Yeah, because it's like I attracted that situation to happen because there's things that I've been asking for, more wisdom, more understanding of how all this works. And so, what's the best way that you can understand anything? You go through the experience of it, and when I can go through the experience of it. It's not pleasant. Don't get me wrong. No, I don't like going through the experience, but when you pass through the experience, you move through the storm, something big and greater happens all the time.
And you feel stronger once you go through it, right?
The energy, your energy comes back almost instantly when you let things go. In fact, this reminds me of a story years ago when I was working in the hospital. And I'll just share this before we get going for today. And there was a lady that, she was dealing with cancer, and she was coming for treatments, and they gave her that evening, it was a low dose, like kind of like a chemotherapy, like in a pill form. And so I'm the last person she's going to see throughout the day before the workday's over. They kind of bring in her wheelchair into my office, and I'm talking with her. She's just really exhausted. And most people would think, oh, she just had chemotherapy. What would you think? Oh yeah, it's sucking all her energy. And we started testing a few things with her and realized that there was some emotional stuff that was trapped within her body. And one thing when we started to release was we uncovered that there was something about a relationship in the past where I think a husband left her, and she was so distraught from that. She was holding on to that, and it was showing up in her body as cancer. And cancer usually is something that's eating away at you on the inside. And all the tears just started coming out because she never let it go, and just floodgates. And because she wasn't conscious of it at the moment until we brought it to her attention, and just all the emotion just wanted to come out. When she felt better, we were done with our session. She goes outside, and I'm getting ready to go for the day. And I'm walking out to the lobby, and she's standing there. She's out of her wheelchair. She was on the computer, and she turns around just like, and she's from Finland because her accent was funny. She's like, "You're like the prince that woke up the frog," because her energy came back. She was like back to herself again. And like she just had low dose chemotherapy, and she's back walking around, and all her energy just came back.
Yeah.
And that was a key thing to me that understands like, wow, it's not so much things that happen in our life for people. It's how we feel on the inside that really drains us.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to go through certain things to help us to trigger that. And that's the biggest blessing.
And that person that maybe got you upset in the first place, but the person that you chose to be upset because of something they said, something they did, maybe that's just what you needed to be able to clear whatever was still stuck there.
Sometimes it's the people that trigger you the most are the ones that you need to have in your life the most so you can learn something.
Yeah. So Dan says, do nice. Oh, so nice. You give him his space. Beautiful, Veronica. Gold medal for you. Write a book about that. Yeah, I probably will.
We could call it Boot Boot Moments with Aaron. Inspirational moment with Veronica and Boot Boot Moments with Aaron. But we go through this as a couple.
It's
We're
okay.
we go through and it's okay. And it's like, I'm back to normal again. And that's almost instantly. It didn't last weeks, months, years.
No, it was just
maybe a day, a couple hours.
Dan says,
thank you both for your very loving spiritual show and fun light show. It lightens me, cleanses my light.
Awesome.
And so that's another thing is when you're feeling drained is like you find something that's going to uplift your spirits. Listen to something more positive. Maybe you need to get around people that are more positive and just kind of as you're working through something. And that's how we take our power back. We take control back over our lives, and because we get to choose. We get to choose how we think. We get to choose how we feel. And we get to choose what we do, who we have in our life, who we don't have in our life, what we listen to, what we watch. We are the people that get to choose that. If it's not making you feel good, make a different choice.
Yeah, we can choose what we give our power to or what we give our energy to. So if it's something that's gonna make you feel good, then maybe you should focus more on those things. But if whatever you're focusing on doesn't feel good, it's like that's draining your energy, and it's really a waste of energy.
It's a waste of energy.
Focusing on stuff that maybe even things that you can't change. Like, why even focus on something that is not making you feel good? You can't change it, so change your point of focus, and just watch how your energy will shift.
Yeah, just be aware and let us know how that works out for you. Love to get your thoughts and your comments as you learn these concepts. Practice them in your daily life and share them with us. You can either share it here on our show or private message us and let us know how this has been helping you in your life. And we really enjoy you guys being here with us here on Awaken Your Spirit. Remember, we are live here every week, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. If you'd like to join us here on the show, you can subscribe to the show. Just subscribe to our here on the YouTube channel, also here on Facebook, and click the reminders button so you always get reminded when we go live here. And so thank you guys. We're talking about taking back your power. Take back your power today. And we will see you guys next time.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.